My name is Stevie Williams. I ride for Bahrain McLaren. I've been out of action for 18 months. This is my story.
I was first aware of Stevie when he was racing for Czech Racing back in 2018, and you could clearly see the guy had a talent with all the results he had at the under-23 races. Certainly the Baby Giro was pretty impressive.
So I began racing when I was 16, so pretty much a late starter in the sport. I've been lucky enough to represent GB on a number of occasions.
So looking at Stevie as an under-23, he's clearly a good climber and potential GC rider for the future. I think that's his whole frustration, is he hasn't had the chance to show.
Calf should hear me. So the injury began in winter 2018. I literally just finished my off season, came back riding for maybe a week, and it just flared up in sort of the first few rides I did. It was sort of a feeling of just constant, every pedal repetition was just a sort of sharp feeling on the outside of the knee, and attached to that hamstring insertion.
So we knew when we saw Steve that he had two conditions that were running side by side, and whilst we could address the hamstring tendinopathy, which was one of the pains he was getting, the other pain, which was fibella syndrome, we knew we had to refer on to a surgeon. And after consultation with them, we realised that there was this fibella, which is embedded in the gastroc muscle, was actually impinging on the hamstring tendon, which is an incredibly unusual injury, not something we'd seen before.
Going from doctor to doctor, from physio to physio, just not getting a definite answer of what the injury is, what the diagnosis is, and it just every time it was a kick in the teeth.
So obviously most young lads' dreams is to turn pro for a World Tour team, and Stevie's done this, and they get this 2-year window to sort of prove themselves whether they're good enough or not. And there's huge, massive pressure on them. And I think, for myself and all the staff, it's our jobs to support them through that period. And some guys sort of take it on really well, some guys struggle with it. But obviously for Stevie, he's just not had the chance to show.
There's been a number of occasions over the last 18 months where I've thought, this could be the end of my cycling career. Some pretty dark moments, just coming in and out of rehab, not having that definitive answer of what the problem was, and continuously doing the same things repetitively every single day.
I was out for almost over a year, 1.5 years. And took me almost 2 years to get back without having problems. When you can't do your job, or you can't go out and do what you love without being pain-free. It depends how good you handle it and who you're in hands with and how the team is. But you really fall in like a state of depression.
When I was looking at what was happening with Stevie, we weren't getting anywhere. There was just no real momentum. There was no movement at all. So I wanted to dig deeper.
So I remember maybe mid-2019, and I was sat in the room with the surgeon having a discussion about the next steps we're going to take, and I remember him mentioning that if this doesn't work, then it could be a possibility that my career would end.
And I just kept pushing. I kept pushing until we found the right people who investigated and found the issue that Stevie had. The problem was we didn't actually know at that time if that actually was the problem, but they were quite convinced it was going to be the issue.
Just the loneliness of going through rehab by yourself is quite a tough thing to go through when you're not racing and you're not part of the team, because you're doing your rehab day in, day out. It just the racing goes on without you, and the sport doesn't stop, so everything carries on, but you're held back essentially.
And I was in the same situation as Stevie. Like I had to come to the training camp, even though I couldn't train, and it's just it's devastating. It's depressing because you're sitting in the room all day, you're sitting at breakfast with the guys, you see them going to training, you see them coming back from training. It was good that me and Stevie were rooming together, because we could kind of talk a little bit about stuff like that, because we were a little bit in the same situation. So
obviously once he'd had the operation, we could sort of put a plan together. I think the key thing there was actually just trying to get the two groups, so our own professional team and the institute to work together. And obviously with Stevie living down in Wales, it was better that the institute took the lead on a day-to-day basis, which Dan did a really, really good job.
We got him back in here, and he was in here pretty much every day. So we had a really intensive regime going, multi-practitioner input, so real sort of teamwork really. And Steve was great. Steve was very dedicated, very committed, which was fantastic, very easy guy to work with.
Well, we took our lead mostly from Sport Wales. They had hands-on throughout the whole process with Stevie. So I worked with him mostly from a distance.
And I think then for us, it was really important to get him into the camps with us so he could be, feel part of the team. He's stuck at home. We're all off doing training camps and so forth. It's not a nice place to be for an athlete.
Even though he couldn't participate as a bike rider on the bike, but just to bring him back into the team system and remind him where he belongs with us in the team. More of a mental, emotional support maybe.
So, fair play to Stevie, committed to coming on the Altair camp in January for the whole camp. And he was waving the guys off every day basically, and then going back in the gym, and he put the hard yards in there, that's for sure. It's him who's got himself back on track.
It was pretty tough, to be honest, to see the boys leave for training every day, get on their bikes, and I had to just go down to the gym, get onto the table, have my physio. That was one of the hardest things, just not being able to jump on your bike and ride with your teammates. So as you've heard, it's been quite a tricky journey. Really tough at times. But to be honest, without the collaboration of Bahrain McLaren and Sport Wales, to be honest, I don't think I'd be back on my bike by now. So I have a lot to thank them for, and so grateful for the support of everybody.
So obviously these last couple of weeks he's been on training camps in Germany with the guys, worked super hard, and it was just good to see the hours. He progressed the hours really slowly. He was in a rush to get back, but at the same time he took his time to make sure he didn't push too hard.
Just the difference compared to the last, when I saw him in January, before the beginning of the year, it was the most amazing experience to see him again. Every day on the bike, keeping up with the guys.
He was there back on the bike, smashing us in the sprints. It was, we had a really good time. It was good. It was good to see him back on the bike.
And then this week he starts racing, and I think we're all really looking forward to seeing him back. Just be great to see him on the start line with a number on his back. So there's no pressure on the guy to race. I've even told him if he sits last wheel, if he doesn't actually make it through the race, it doesn't matter. It's step by step, and that's our jobs. And we are very much an athlete first team.
So we're absolutely delighted. Fingers crossed now Steve can crack on and serve his team well.
I'll come out the end of this a lot stronger athlete and a lot better athlete, knowing what can happen, and basically just now I've been through this, it almost feels like I could go through anything. So Czech Tour is finally here. It seems like a lifetime ago that I was on the start line. Looking forward to getting stuck in. Looking forward to be with my teammates around the team. Just getting involved with racing again, and hopefully it'll be a good week for the boys.